How's it going, YouTube? Come on, today with another video, and today what I want to bring to you is actually a guest upload, and this is going to be a collab with Legacy Crusaders. I'm very excited for this because it's going to be a really nice way for me to be able to explain what Striker Pile really is alongside all the engines that we're already using this format, and I really do feel like it's a really nice way and a really refreshing way to play Striker because you're not solely reliant on just seeing Ray. You can see other engines and still play the game as well. So today I'm actually going to be doing a giveaway that will be announcing the winner in a week on the channel, so if you want to enter this giveaway for my brand new Striker mat, look how nice this came out. It's so amazing to be able to have this. And then we'll be giving away the double-sided one, of course. So this is all cloth here, no rubber. Very, very nice. I'm excited. I love this mat so much. It just looks so clean. But if you would like to be in on this giveaway, definitely go ahead and comment down below and then follow me on Twitter. And again, we'll be picking out the winner in a week, and I hope that you enjoyed the video today.
Hello and welcome to Legacy Crusaders YouTube channel. This is Benji, and today I'm joined by GGYGO. Say what up, Gary.
How's it going, everyone?
So this one, I believe, is going up on your channel. Matter of fact, this is the How to Play series. If anyone's unfamiliar with it, I bring someone on, usually to my channel, who knows how to play a deck, and they tell us what to do through a few games on YGO Pro, where I try to be like you, the audience, and ask the questions that you might have. And today we're playing 60 card Striker Pile, which is just like, what would be a better way to describe this?
Essentially just the best way to play the deck at the current moment, because we have so many amazing engines in the game. And I feel like at the current moment, if you're not playing at least one of the three really good engines, especially the Brave engine, that you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. And I feel like with Striker, it gives you such an optimal way to play because it gives you immediate spell count and a really good way to push through a board and create your own.
Cool. So I guess this is Adventure Striker with the hero package, and we're bridging into everything using Small World, right?
Correct.
So we'll do a quick card by card, and then we'll get into some games, and I'll try and ask the questions for the audience. We'll come back to this at the end of the video and see if there's anything that did or did not come up. So quickly, we have 3 Ash, 2 Bell, 2 Moonlit Chill, 2 copies of Ghost Ogre, 3 Imperms, 3 Gammas. That's the hand trap lineup. Also for going second, we're on Cosmic Cyclone, the driver. For the Striker cards, we're on 3 Ray, 3 Rose, 1 Rhoda, 1 Area 0, 1 Engage, 1 Multi-Roll, 1 Hornet Drone, 3 copies of Widow Anchor, 3 Shark Cannon, 2 Afterburner, 1 Foolish Burial for the 3 Water Enchantress, 3 copies of Rite of Aramisir, 3 copies of Small World to pivot into that. The hero package, we got Celestial Dasher, 2 Fusion Destiny, a Illusion of Chaos package, so a right to search Illusion, which searches 2 souls, and there are 2 Illusion. And the rest right package is the Dracoback, the Fateful Adventure, and 1 Griffin Rider. In the extra, we're on 1 Phoenix Enforcer, 1 Verte Anaconda, 1 Link Spider, 1 Dark Charmer, 1 Access Code Talker, 2 copies of Hayate, 3 copies of Kagari, 1 Kaina, 3 copies of Shizuku, and 1 Zeke, and we're siding 3 Gamma Seal, 3 Token Collector, 3 Twin Twister, 3 Grave of the Super Ancient Organism. You're gonna have to explain a couple of these decisions in a minute. This one's interesting. It's really annoying when it comes up first me. And 3 copies of Summon Limit. So you have a couple of interesting things I want to ask you about before we get started. Firstly, what's up with this Super Ancient Organism?
So it's a really cool card, and shout outs to Hanko. If you guys haven't already checked anything out from him, he does a lot of articles for Yu-Gi-Oh! He brought this card back up to my attention when we used to play this card back in Shaddoll format, and I completely forgot about it. And what's really cool about this is a nice floodgate to have if you don't really care about anything 6 or higher. So whenever I side this in, I typically just rely heavier on my Striker package than anything else and just save those cards for if my board gets broke, right? The Ancient Organism, if the Despia player doesn't have like any kind of back route for this thing, they literally cannot play the game. It's like using Zombie World on a Fluandereeze player. Like, they just cannot do anything with this on the board, which is really cool because it just basically says that they cannot declare attacks or activate their effects if they're 6 or higher, which is essentially the whole deck. It's just a kind of mid thing to side in against like Sword Soul. It's really nice to have it, but if they have the Shuda, you have to really focus out on your Shark Cannons and whatnot to be able to mitigate that problem as well. Or if you have like this, you need to put up a Griffin immediately just to make sure that you can protect against a Vishuda. But other than that, the card itself is just really good against multiple matchups right now, and I'm very happy with how it's performing.
A couple other questions. We are on a 60 card deck. No thoughts on like Double Fateful? I think a couple people are doing Double Fateful.
So Double Faithful is actually something that I was talking to my friend about potentially doing. If anything, I would cut like the 3rd Shark Cannon and play the double of the Faithful. I'm playing the triple Cosmic right now because I actually just cut Nibiru from the deck, and I added in the 3rd Cosmic, the 3rd Shark Cannon, and Foolish Burial. Nibiru just isn't that relevant right now, especially against things like Fluandereeze and the Despia deck. It's just dead most of the time. It's nice to bridge out of in Small World, but at the same time, I don't really think that it's all that relevant. I'd rather have more utility cards like the Shark Cannon to help beat the Despot matchup. The Cosmics are because the Eldritch matchup is becoming so much more real right now. I feel like there's a lot of more people jumping over to that deck currently. Whereas when I'm seeing like the Fateful, I think that it's really nice because you get more value off of like your souls in those matchups, especially when you're trying to grind for the cards you need. Where if you activate Right again and then you get another Fateful and you can search out more advantage, I feel like even just having spell count even further down the line with Shizuku just means a lot more. So the second one does come up, but I don't know if it's come up enough for me to warrant playing a second one.
All right, and I was going to ask about Nibiru, which isn't in here, and you've already answered that question. Is there anything else you can think of that someone might find weird or unusual about your list before we get started?
The one thing I want to mention too was you were saying like Foolish Burial for like the Enchantress. Sometimes it's not even just for that too. I like it post-side too because of token collector, but more importantly, you can also Foolish Burial dump Rose if you open like the Brave Engine, and you can like Draco back bounce your extra deck monsters, summon back Rose, and negate something. And so it's like a really nice way to get into your Striker Engine if you need to. The other thing too is since like the Eldritch matchup is becoming more real, I might actually cut Kinda and play Unicorn instead, because there's so many ways for you to get Darks on the field that if you're under Gozen, it's really not that bad. If you can go like you have Ray, you go into like your Souls and you get into like the Zeke, or if you go into like Dark Charmer, and then you can summon something back from your opponent's graveyard, then go into Unicorn and like threaten the back row. If they're on like Eldritch, there's a possibility that you're in a grind already and they have like the Lord of the Heavenly Prison already in the graveyard. So there is a lot of really cool ways that you can go about that.
If we were to try and put a Unicorn in here, is there anything particular that we can cut?
I would cut the Kinda. Kinda comes up less. And I feel like it's one of those things where we've already seen that being done in multiple lists already where they're just cutting Kinda. When you play this type of a deck, you're not reliant solely on your Striker Engine, which makes this deck wonderful because in the normal Striker list, if you don't see Ray, you just don't play the game. But you play 4 different engines in this deck between the Souls, the DP, the Striker Engine, and Brave. So as long as you see like 1 or 2 of those engines, you're at least making Berthe every time. And I really like that a lot just because, like, again, you're not super reliant on one typical engine. So even having a card like Kinda seems more insufficient. Whereas if you just have a DP and a hand trap and like Ray follow up with like Engage the next turn, I feel like you're just way better off, and at least you have utility through things like Unicorn. It's also a lot better to deal with Mirror Jade, because Mirror Jade, you just want it out of the board as fast as possible and not being able to be brought back. So being able to spin it away is usually my favorite way to deal with that card.
Do you want to cut the Kinda and put in the Unicorn instead and just see how that goes for today?
We definitely can. That's something that is very real for this weekend. I've been going back and forth on it because I'm going to a regional Sunday.
All right, well, let's try it and see if it comes up here. But we are playing on the Wild West of Yu-Gi-Oh, YGO Pro. So who knows what'll actually come up and what won't. So let's just see what happens. All right, we'll get into a few games and we'll see if we remember any other things that are worth mentioning at the end. Someone called Zark. I hope they don't think competitive means competitive pendulum Zark.
Fair.
Well, we lost the dice roll. They're on a 40-card deck and we opened lots of hand traps.
We opened 3 hand traps for Anchor. What more do you want? And
I assume like Vishuda summon is fine.
Yeah, that's great.
Giving away free information by not responding to Vishuda. Well, we had a response, but it's just the weakness of YGO Pro.
Yeah, it's all good. Oh god.
All right. So tie is in hand, which they can't normal. What are your thoughts?
I would just gamma that. I don't think that there's a real big downside. We already know his last card in hand is going to be something that hasn't really seemed too crazy. He has a tie. He has set a card here, which he might have baited the vessel, but we also have Ash anyway. So like, doesn't really matter.
What's the worst thing that can be? Longwan, I guess?
It could just literally be Blackout, which is fine because we just beat that here. We just normal the Ray into the board. We don't commit anything else.
All right.
Just go battle phase here and just swing over the monk. Because if it is Blackout, then it just doesn't matter at this point.
What do we get punished by? Potentially a called by if we want to use the effect?
I mean, potentially. Always on macro. What is this? I would just chain Ray and go immediately into Shizuku.
Punch it?
Yeah. I would go ahead and do that.
So the real question is, are we concerned with macro staying there? And do we have an out that we can get to cleanly?
Kind of. Macro is a weird one.
Main 2 and set anchor, I guess?
Yeah, so we have to do this like next turn essentially. So set anchor and then add this is always too where you don't want to get super punished, but I would just add engage here. Sometimes I'm more warranted just to add the card that I was going for anyway, which would be Hornet Drone. But we can just go ahead and add engage because like sometimes you just don't want to get punished hard by them like getting to an Ash through their combo or like drawing into one, right? But we're fine here even with the macro live. Again, kind of annoying, but it's like kind of fine. He's gonna go tie A here. I would just wait for him to use effect and then just anchor it immediately. Yeah, macro is just not standard in this deck whatsoever, so it's definitely a little weird to see it here.
I feel like I've heard of it being played recently, or it was DeFi and like Flawanderies, I think.
Battle phase. Yeah, that's unfortunate. We just go right here. Yeah, so we're going to lose right here regardless. End phase, right effect, go Shizuku. We will just add all the free cards at this point. Shizuku can just go ahead and add a Hornet Drone at this point. We're just gonna have to burn some cards here to play the game. So I'd go a Hornet Drone. And then we're gonna go ahead and summon Dark. Because Hornet Drone is a Dark. A lot of people don't know that.
Nice bonus feature.
Go and summon Vishuda now.
Oh, this is great. It's going to get banished.
Yup. Insane. And then we can just go ahead and make Unicorn here.
What do we discard? What's expendable?
Just Bell is fine.
Hit macro.
Yeah, I was scared of that. All right, so one crisis averted. So this is where you have like a couple cool plays. I honestly wouldn't really do a whole lot here. I would just make like Illusion of Chaos into Souls and just like straight up summon DP. Because like you already have Ash Imperm and most decks just never play through that. So at that point, you're just fine. So yeah, just stack that. If you ever in IRL play, by the way, and you ever have Illusion of Chaos, you always stack the illusion and then go into your deck and then send the other illusion to the graveyard, so they think that you put like a brick on top of your deck and they think that you have an IOC in hand when you don't.
All right, Anaconda.
Yeah, so just make Anaconda here.
Yeah, I heard DB Grinder talking a lot about people just milling the top card after putting it back, just kind of giving away completely what it is.
A lot of times too, like if you have Fusion Destiny in hand and you have the ability to make Anaconda, you always just use Anaconda effect. You pay 2,000 to let them hand trap you, and then you activate Fusion Destiny from your hand.
Gotcha. All right, just run them over.
Yeah, run them over.
I doubt we're concerned about Super Poly in the in this matchup.
No, I don't think that's very real, especially not even post side.
All right.
I would go ahead and just set the impermanent pass. We got a spell engrave. We have potential draw for next turn as well, so it's good. No reason to burn the engage yet.
Yeah, I can't think of a card that's really worth getting other than like.
Yeah, I would just say this is fine. Then when he summons it, you just pop the long one. Unless we get super punished here and he just doesn't have here, actually wait for a second. Because if he has summon in hand, that would be awkward.
Well, I mean, what
I
could
would
he
pop the
possibly
token.
do?
I would go DB and pop the token. Because there's also a possibility he drew into Vessel.
That's possible. I mean, the only way we get punished if he has what Adhara, then he can go into Yazi, and we can't target Yazi.
I mean, at that point we have Ash though,
Yeah.
and he still loses. Yeah, he probably opened Vessel. Yeah, this is just free from here.
Right.
I would just play very passive here, in my opinion. I would just go like DP, pop the Long One and the Anaconda.
Long one.
And I would just hold Ash. Like you're already in such a driver's seat right now, you don't even need to do a whole lot.
Okay.
Uh, and then I would go Small World, and I would banish Ash and banish the Brave Girl, and then do Ray. And then this is just like insane amounts of damage here, so just normal Ray, and then go tag out to Hayate, dump a spell. I would just dump like A0.
Gotcha.
How many spells are in Grave right now, actually?
I think it's Fusion Destiny, Small World, and that's it.
Oh, wow, we're 2 spells off. That's crazy. Yeah, that's fine. Just Hayate. Then, yeah, just dump like, yeah, probably, we can dump actually an Anchor here. And then we can just add that back with Kagari.
If memory serves, we're always supposed to point at their middle zone, right? Give them the least amount of zones possible. Although,
Yeah, it's like playing around Mech Knight, right? Like you just do it inherently to just not give them extra link zones too. Yeah, you can just like set that and go Shizuku, and then I would just search like a cannon, honestly. You just want to get as much online as possible.
all right, so we're at spell count. So if they clear Enforcer, we have a lot of striker plays to make.
Yeah, we still have 2 spells in Grave, but we have to use the Anchor first. Yeah, you just scooped it up. It's it's pretty good.
Yeah, it went well.
So this is where we definitely decide in, at least in my opinion, I would just do the 3 token collector, 3 kaiju. So the kaijus are in the side because if you ever just don't want to deal with like a Baron, or you don't want to expend a lot of cards dealing with like a Kicksing, then you just throw in the kaiju. At that point, it's searchable, and like if you see it, then it's just a 1-for-1 trade with a really annoying card on the board. And I think that's just really valuable, especially in Striker, when like you're just trying to do as many 1-for-1s as possible, but on the better side of things.
Gotcha. What could we cut? Maybe the Cosmics?
I would cut Cosmic for sure, and this matchup is just really dead.
I mean, unless
Not
they're
like
playing
really
like
dead.
anti-spell, I guess there's a chance, but not enough
He has
information to
like,
conclude.
I don't know, maybe keep him in though, because he was on macro, which is kind of annoying. I don't know what other kind of random cards he's on right now, or if he's gonna have like the blackout too, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure he will though. I would just cut like Area 0, the bells. And then we can go ahead and cut probably 3rd Shark Cannon. That's like fine. Doesn't really matter. It's really dependent here. Like I would cut like a copy of Small World. I would cut like a copy of like Imperm. Just like cards that you don't want to brick on, especially if they're on Circle. This is fine. Like I always try to cut out like one of each hand trap, just so like even if you're playing Prosperity, you cut like the 3rd Prosperity going into the next game, because like you just don't want to brick.
Too many hard ones per turns. Got to manage the tempo.
Insane. This hand's still full combo because Small World's an FTK.
All right, so they open the One of Desires.
Excellent.
If they're opening at Hara, there's a chance they go Fiber combo, but that's usually like the backup play, right?
Yeah, it's something they can do. It looks like he might be on more of a control build though.
Yeah, I guess it's the macro.
If he goes like Baron, Chishao, and then goes like Blackout, then you just always kaiju the Chishao, because you don't have to worry about like the Blackout nor the negate. And then you just have to deal with the Baron.
They're on a weird build. They are playing Summit. I think that's usually not in most builds, right?
Yeah, that's not correct. So it's like, it's fine though. We'll see what kind of combo they end up making here. I always try to like watch what my opponent's doing as much as possible. Like I always tell people that too. Like if you ever feel like you're just gonna lose a duel, like you might as well just sit there and watch what they're doing, so you're more prepared for siding. And I feel like more people need to get in the habit of that, because you lose a lot of information the more that you just like stop watching your opponent, especially if you're on tilt.
Yeah, unless of course time's a concern, then you might have to scoop early. But I guess you gotta like choose what's more valuable at the time.
Yeah, like I always tell people too that you just need to learn how to play your deck faster at that point. Like if you're not going to scoop right away, like when you see things, which sometimes you shouldn't, because people not always are able to do their full combo. So that's where you kind of have to weigh that back and forth. Like maybe they open up a couple garnets and they can't do the full thing. But on the playback, you really need to know how to like play your deck efficiently, so you can actually take time to like watch what they're doing. Oh, this is certainly combo.
Oh, you got like a full suite of cards here. Does he get to draw a card for this?
It's only when he summons a worm.
Oh, synchro summon another worm.
I mean, no one really plays Dragite either. This build is very dated.
Well,
It's like doing
things.
It
seems like it's doing. It seems like he's doing the right plays for the cards he has, at least. Actually, I don't know what this thing is doing here.
I'm assuming Shaman. No.
Such a random card to have on the board at the end of everything.
I don't know what he's trying to do with it, because I don't see his grave right now. He's bringing back Monk. I suppose.
He's going to make a Link 3. He can do the... what does a Shaman lock you out of? Activating...
Shaman just locks you into strictly 10 years.
Effects of 10 years, right?
Yeah, so like you're locked into worms and then you can't use any effects except 10 years. Oh wow, we drew these cards. Crazy. So here is definitely interesting. The Kixing on the board is definitely a problematic card, but it's not something that is going to prevent us from playing the game. So I would Kaiju the Chisao.
So that would negate a monster. What does this thing banish when it's something summoned, right?
Yeah, so we kind of have to do some weird plays here to get around this. The only other way that we do this is like, no, I don't think. Yeah, so we can actually just Kaiju the Kixing. There's another play we can do here. So then we'll just go Small World.
Well, he's got the Dragite. Are we concerned about Dragite?
I don't think he's going to negate this. If he does, then we just lose here regardless, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's probably in his best interest to see what card we're going for, although... Oh, he did.
That's fine. We just keep playing into our opponent just doesn't have any more negates, right?
Well, we'll see what we can do. These Cosmics are just going to go nowhere, I guess.
Yeah, so this situation, we might get lucky with one draw. I would reveal Illusion. If you pitch 2 and you leave 1 in hand, he's very likely to hit it with Chi Chao. But if you pitch 1, they're likely to just let it go.
All right, so put this guy back.
I would put Dasher back, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Excellent point.
Yeah, I would go ahead and just summon that. I would use the effect.
Yeah, good point. I'm not used to not putting that guy back. There are some builds of things I've tested that only play the 1, but that's my problem.
Gotcha. It's the first effect.
Yeah. The second effect's really dumb. It's just like, you can discard this card for nothing.
Yeah, it's if you're playing the other cards.
All right, next we try to draw 1 card because he might let us get away with that. Well, now it doesn't matter.
Valor too. Yeah, just game through this for
game
sure.
Game 3. Sometimes that happens. All right, I guess he's on... I guess he's not on that many back row cards. Maybe we should cut those Cosmics, but that'll be the game that the macro comes up, right?
I would cut the Cosmics and the Kaijus, and I'd put in Ancient Organism and Summon Limit.
Oh yeah, we're going first, right?
Yeah.
Ancient Organism, and what was the other thing? I'm sorry.
Summon Limit.
All right, that deck gets stuck really easy, so seems good. Good enough. Anything else?
I would just carry through with that.
All right.
They just had everything that game. Crazy. Oh, so did we though. Wow. All right. So I would start off with Brave Girl. Right Engine.
That's so great. We can just throw Token Collector in there if they actually break through.
Yep. And then we just start off with the right here. Activate Faithful. Gobert.
Just so everyone knows, Faithful has to go into a zone other than where right is. Just not that it matters here, but all right.
Here, I wouldn't want to like waste other cards. So you kind of can go 2 different routes here. It depends on what you want to play into. You can either go straight into DPE, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You play harder in the hand traps that way, or you can go ahead and search your Griffin and then pitch a striker spell and then go Kagari and add it back.
Well, we get to search Draco back on a summon, right?
Yeah, like there's a lot of reasons too to like hold Draco back as well, because if you think about like the longevity of the game, especially if you're playing against any kind of controller, like this guy plays macro, then you want to be able to have a way to out that later on. So like sometimes holding Draco back isn't terrible, especially if you can just like recur your card anyway.
Gotcha.
So these are like things you got to think about when you're playing. I would just go ahead and dump the token collector now though, because that card is just going to be pretty sealant on game here.
Well, he might even concede immediately. Just because it's YGO Pro. IRL, there's no reason for them to concede in game 3. All right.
Yeah. You can go ahead here and just normal the Ray and search the Draco back. We also cut the Kaina, which you have to burn a Hayate now to do the Anaconda play, because you always want to leave your monster in the EMZ.
Gotcha.
Which is unfortunate. I would just say this is probably fine here to just use the Fateful Adventure and then add another copy of the Aquamancer, and I would pitch Burner.
You wouldn't want to pitch her? Are we going to summon her?
Yeah, I'd pitch Burner.
All right.
And then I would make Hayate. Make Link Spider after you summon out the Enchantress.
Very important. Order matters here.
Yeah, I saw your instant extra deck. I was like, oh no. Yeah, no, Link Spider for after. And then we'll go Anaconda.
Just so everyone knows, I'm the one in control of the game. So, if something goes wrong, probably I pressed the button before GG said so.
Then Kagari back your burner, and then go Shizuku search engage after you Anaconda. And this way too, it makes like this play alone makes your anchors so much more live.
Right.
So just go Anaconda here. So here, what I typically do, if you look at your graveyard right now, we have Fusion Destiny, we have Foolish Burial, and Right. So like everything's live currently, which is really nice. You want to get your Anaconda off the board though, but you also don't want to die to a random Bell here, which would be unfortunate. What you could do is, if you're not really worried, like we're pretty much in control here, you could even set the Draco back and then use DP effect and pop Draco back and Anaconda.
All right, so we'd be giving up that potential use of Draco back later, just to make sure it's off the board.
The other thing too is that like you have Burner in hand, and so you just recurred that too. You can always clear that. It's basically just like we already have the Aquamancer in the graveyard, so you already have the rebuttal already with the Right and the Draco back, which is really nice. Now you have Anchor and you have Burner, and so it's really awkward because like you can send your DP to the grave here to play around like Super Poly in the last game, but it's also like more awkward with the fact that if you get belled here, then you just lose your DPE. Honestly, here you can just use the DP effect and send Fateful and send the Anaconda because you don't need that anymore.
Or just pop them both?
Yeah, I would just pop them both.
Okay.
You want your Anchor to be live?
Well, all right. So we'll set Anchor and then pass turn, search, engage.
Yeah.
All right. So there are a lot of options here, just because we're trying not to have this card necessarily get stuck here, but I mean, it could get stuck anyway, right?
It could, but I feel like the possibility of Bell is more real right now, and I'd rather have one usage out of my DP than no usage at all.
Gotcha. They might have to save Bell for like token collector though.
I mean, potentially, but getting rid of DP is like insane.
Gotcha.
Very important. Yeah, we definitely just on res here do the token collector thing
and just leave a destroyer, I guess.
I would just go ahead here and let him summon the token.
Okay.
At this
now
point,
we have two cards on board again. is all.
Well, he has to clear the token collector, so he has to have some response to this. So like this is fine. Like he's not playing through this. Like if he somehow outs it, or if we get to a point where like we need anchor, what you can do is if he summons like somehow like to synchro off, then you can just go token collector or DP pop token collector and then use anchor. Like it's not optimal, but sometimes it just happens that you need it like that. This is fine. I wonder what he's like trying to go and do here because there's not a whole lot. Like if you don't have Incredible Ecclesia, like there's not much that you can do.
Well, I mean, if he had Droplet, he could have played. So he can
You
summon back.
Shaman.
He
He's
can
trying to
summon
go into the Chahana and he's trying to pop the token. I would just pop that. I would just go DP and the Shaman. He's trying to summon back the Shahana, go Monk, and then Monk attack, and then the Shaman effect triggers to pop your monster. So you like can extend past the token collector. Yeah, you're playing D-Fissure, sure. You know, like whatever, dude.
That feels weird to do then. Like
yeah,
because now this doesn't go to grave.
Yeah, that seems fairly not the best. But sure, you know, standby phase DP, summon that, go ahead, pop token collector, pop D-Fissure. They pop at the same time, so we're gravy. And then, I mean, combo. So
he's got Zathana and grave.
That's fine. Like that literally just doesn't matter. I would do the Enchantress engrave and add right. And then we just bounce it. We don't even destroy it.
I thought they were going to droll. I'm like, wow. Token collector? No.
No. And then Draco back, just go ahead and bounce. Never mattered.
There's some combos I used to do where I would summon token collector on myself, but it's been so long. It was like Auroradon into like Cherubini columns with tokens.
I would just hit for big damage here.
Yeah, we're in a very good position to just control the game.
Oh, trust me, we're not done yet, but this is just where we're at currently. So go for the big 15. And then main 2, use DP and pop your token, and then activate engage after you activate multi-roll.
Oh, that we can't do because we popped the DeFi with the token collector earlier.
Oh, that's true. That's fine. Like if you wanted to be like super greedy here anyway, like he doesn't have anything. What you could do is you could just make Zeke and then send the token. I've done that before too, just so you can get the hand traps and whatnot. Yeah, it's actually fine. Like this is kind of greedy to say this, but like make Zeke with Shizuku and DP. We're gonna go so plus here, it doesn't even matter. And then just like you can even banish the token, it doesn't matter. It just does not come back regardless. And then activate multi-roll. And then set your 2 cards.
Both of them?
So yeah, set both of them.
Oh yeah, we're gonna draw 2.
Yeah, we're going insane plus here.
Now, I don't think we would do this in a tournament setting, right?
They have 1 card in hand. I'm going +6 right now. Like, all absolutely. Right.
Just checking. Well, we're not getting Enforcer back, right?
Yeah, banish that so you keep your Dasher. And plus, it doesn't allow people to reborn. Then flip engage.
We also drew this. Maybe we should use this
like
first.
+8 with that. Like, it's fine. And then I would just add like another anchor.
Draw a card? Sure, why not?
Go Kagari. Yeah, he's just not playing the game. Go Kagari and then get back engaged, activate engage, get Shark Cannon.
Again, this is the super greedy route, everyone, just so you know.
I mean, he has 1 card in hand. He's not doing anything. Like, you're so up in card advantage, it does not matter. Engage, go ahead and search Shark Cannon.
Draw a card?
You already have token collector engraved too. Like, there's nothing he's doing right now. Then go. I would just go search souls. Souls can go ahead and pitch like the burner even, which is fine. And then you can just send souls with multi-roll. So many cards.
It is fun to draw 1,000 billion cards.
It's very true. I just go soul send like burner.
Just burner?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. Draw another anchor. Excellent. And then just send the souls.
Shiz.
I would set 3 and keep 1 anchor in hand. And I would just end on shiz. Yeah, this is just insane. So much plus. Just add your own. There is no rebuttal to this board.
Lightning Storm. And,
I mean,
cool.
It'd
be crazy, but also wouldn't matter.
I mean, if they had Lightning Storm at this point, I don't think it really matters, to be honest.
Should we just flip Ancient Organism?
No, there's no point.
I mean, just so he could see how futile it is.
So the fun fact about Organism is that it says that cards can't activate their effects, so you can't chain it to a level 6 activating. It needs to be prior to that. Because the card will already be activated. Don't even chain anything, just summon Token Collector.
Oh yeah. Well, that turns off all of our back row. But I guess since we know what cards he has, we know that that doesn't matter.
I mean, he literally has to clear the Token Collector before he does anything, though, is the problem. Like, our back row is fine, because, like, we know his last card in hand right now is tie A, so, like, we don't even have to flip anything.
Zeke Resolve. Okay.
Yeah, it resolves, but nothing really matters there. You can just multi-roll send that, and then steal the Moe and kill him.
Yoink.
The small roll is also just now any hand trap that you want, by the way. So that's
I guess
cool.
Once you have this many cards, the world is your oyster.
Very true, very true.
All right, cool. Should we try and play one more match with this deck, or should we, just so everyone knows, we're actually moving on to Despia Branded after this? And we're back at the deck list. Anything that didn't come up you think is worth mentioning?
I think the deck itself plays really smooth, and that you're either playing one engine or the other. There's a lot of people right now who are main decking Mourner as it's becoming more and more prevalent, because I talked about this in my last video, but it's really good against Despia. It's also just really good against cutting into chains that are normally just on a huge chain block, right? So that's why I really like this, especially against Lubellion specifically. But if you're using this against Guardian Chimera when they spawn out on your turn, even if you're just making this chain link 1 and like Chimera still goes off, you can still burn or pop the Chimera if they don't have Poly in the grave, and you still burn them for 33, and it makes the matchup really easy. That's why I like the card a lot. But other than that, like in the extra deck, even like, you know, Dark is still like a really efficient card. I think that's really nice for this deck, especially when we reborn any DPEs. We don't summon it a ton, but as you saw earlier, even with like the Unicorn play, it's really nice. That's why I really wanted to play Unicorn, honestly, this weekend, because like it does come up here and there where it just is so important. If you don't ever find yourself like playing a certain engine in the deck, it's fine. Like it's just kind of there to be, if you don't see Ray, I see this engine instead, and I can still play the game, because even if you just see Soul's engine, it still equals Verte, which is really nice. And that's something where most decks right now,
just Souls plus hand trap, I guess, for Verte.
Yeah, like even at that point, right? Because like if you think about your hand being dead and it's all spells and souls, like you're still drawing 2 anyways, right? So even if they hand trap it, then you're like, all right, cool, normal summon Verte. So it's just kind of the name of the game right now, is to play as many engines as possible and Verte, and that seems to be efficient enough, and that's been what the meta has been, you know? So, I mean, at this point, I feel like the list is running really smooth. I'm really happy with it.
All right, cool. So I think that's going to wrap up this episode of How to Play. Do check out my channel for How to Play Despia. It should be going up around the same time that this video goes live on GGYGO. And anything you want to wrap up with?
Yeah, I always appreciate the collabs. This is something where I really enjoy teaching, and this is another one of the really cool things. So again, if you haven't already checked out Legacy Crusaders, definitely go over and check out his channel. Um, he's been a longtime friend already. It feels like with YouTube and just talking about like how to do this whole thing, and it's been a really fun ride. So I'm just happy to be here.
All right, cool. All right, everybody, we'll see you shortly on how to play Despia. All right, cool.